Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you, I believe that God made this particular night to give me a moment of rest. This has been a very bad week. When you think of everything that we've been going through as a nation, and whether it's at the Supreme Court or in Congress or wherever, and sometimes you just need to be around those that you care about most, and confer with most in terms of getting your girdings back. I'm Ken McClinton. You're in the fourth quarter of the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Four fingers up, of course. And I have the great pleasure tonight. I've had the great pleasure talking with Jeff Dunitz, but a great pleasure indeed of talking with none other than Dave Milner, the unpleasant blind guy, who is the nicest guy you'll ever want to meet. He really is. So we ruined his reputation by saying that. But in addition to that, ladies and gentlemen, he is the host of English Defense League, the EDL, and Jeff Mitchell, and he do a wonderful job on Thursdays at 3:30 and on Sundays at 3:30. And by the way, Jeff Mitchell's birthday is Monday. He'll be 69. So everybody wish Jeff Mitchell a happy birthday. But he is also a solo host of The Unpleasant Blind Guy. You'll hear that on shrmedia.com. Without further ado, I want to introduce to some and present to others my very good friend, Dave Milner. God bless you, man. Glad to have you here tonight.
Always a pleasure to be here, Ken. Always a pleasure to be here. I just have a brief statement that I must read. On Thursday last, I did, while speaking of taking a knee when demanded to do so by people representing Black Lives Matter, I have said that I would tell them to eat a male protuberance. I wish to say that I have had a great conversation with friends of mine, and I have learned a lot, and there will be other things done in that instance. And I am not reading this message off of a teleprompter or something at all. Okay. And this is a completely real message.
Thank you, Drew Brees. You forgot to add that you hate America too now. There you go.
Well, no, I just wanted to be like that Oklahoma State coach. That was one of the most pathetic things I ever heard. I mean, at least when Drew Brees said what he did about America, his original statement, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, he mentioned all it was great stuff. And then you contrast that, of course, with the terrible stuff he did later. But the Oklahoma State coach coming out and apologizing for the T-shirt. It's a T-shirt, man. You're allowed to have your opinion about an organization that represents all of the things that could destroy this country and civilization. Right? The fact that you don't like an organization called Black Lives Matter does not mean that you do not take lives of anyone seriously. All right, but this has been a problem in this country and also in other countries that have adopted this. All right, that somehow if you don't bend the knee to Black Lives Matter, you're a racist or anything like that. And honestly, Ken, I will tell you, I bend the knee to Jesus, and that ain't happening with anybody else. I will bend my knee before no earthly king or false prophet.
Exactly. I like Mary Brockman. Mary Brockman, who is the bouncer in chief in the chat room, says, instead of taking a knee, poop on the sidewalk. It's the equivalent. We as Americans we've gotten used to people running onto the field and trying to burn a flag at a baseball game and watching an athlete sprint from center field to snatch the flag away from that individual. We're used to seeing people take over cities in terms of occupying them. But I am not used to the whole idea, or maybe I should just get used to it, that what you say is more important than what I say, and what you say you have the right to say, and what I say is hate speech. I'm not used to that yet, Dave.
This has been one of the worst weeks imaginable for double standards. We were speaking about this on the English Men's League radio show today. By the way, I sent you out a tweet, and
Yes.
everyone should give that show that we did today a listen, because towards the end of it, it's right around an hour and I'd say 9 minutes, I begin playing a thing that Ken did regarding how white socialists are using black people and destroying their neighborhoods. That was very well received. Jeff liked it quite a bit, and I added my own little thingy on the end of it too, because you know who can, and we'll get back to the double standards in a second.
Yeah.
You know who one of the talented 10 is in the UK? And I figured this out as I was listening to that segment of yours, again, that brilliant segment. You know who one of the talented 10 is in the UK?
Who was that?
Mr. Sadiq Khan.
Ah, Mayor Khan. Khan!
That's right. That's right. He is going to continue with his Muslim agenda for London and for the UK. That's a certainty. But he is not going to move back into those poor neighborhoods. He is going to be living the lifestyles of the rich and famous and taking advantage of every monetary privilege that he now has. I mean, he is the UK's version of one of the talented 10.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Now, getting back to the double standards, who knew when this Wuhan virus thing started? Who knew that the Wuhan virus was as selective as it is? I thought it was a bit strange, honestly, the way it seemed to do certain things, certain ways, and whatnot. But now we come to find out that it is extremely selective. If you go to church, you can pass it. It just runs like wildfire. It runs like the old heat ray in the novel War of the Worlds. You know, it just jumps from one to the other immediately if you go to church.
Exactly.
If you go to a Trump rally,
Oh!
it's just as bad. Oh my God, man, it's just as bad if you go to a Trump rally. All right, but if you go to an abortion clinic,
Oh, yeah.
or if you go to a Black Lives Matter demonstration, or if you want to loot an auto zone, you're fully protected.
Yes.
This virus is one of the strangest. I mean, the Chinese, when they enhanced this, did a brilliant job with it. I mean, I have to say, I'm no fan of the Chinese communists, but I must say their bacillus smiths did a brilliant job with this virus.
That's amazing. You know, a lot of things made in China are not that good, but apparently this virus is super deductive. I mean, and let me just say that you're absolutely right, Dave, because it was in February and March, early March, it was attacking white people. And then from late March up until George Floyd, it was attacking black people. So it's amazing how this particular virus is so super deductive as to racially exploit people and then exploit people who actually go to church or Trump rallies. So absolutely an amazing deduction on your part. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're quite welcome. Yes, it is politically biased, it is racially biased, and it can change those biases amazingly enough, and I'm sure this is just a coincidence, amazingly enough to whatever pushes the leftist agenda forward the most. I mean, it's really fantastic. You have people out there, by the way, now, Ken, who are saying, "Oh, second wave, we may have to put the masks back on." Yeah, um,
Uh,
I think they know what they can do with that. I think.
exactly. And the Federalist Papers has an article out today that says that America should never submit to another pandemic um, effort in the way that this government has of shutting down our nation and taking away our constitutional rights. That we should never do that. And I am of the agreement when you start looking at the numbers for this pandemic, this whole idea of flattening the curve, I don't believe is really helping. I think when you take a look at with the normal sparse of time for the flu, it is normally from September or October until about March or April. Well, actually, about March. Flattening the curve has meant that they've stretched out that for about 12 months now. That that virtually people who have that ailment, that respiratory ailment, can pass it on throughout the course of the year because many of them haven't been out of the home. So yeah, you're going to have an uptick with people who are coming out of the home for the first time with the ailment, passing it on to others. Why isn't this not common sense for everyone else?
Well, it should be. I mean, what bothered a lot of us right at the start of it was, oh yeah, let's have a reverse quarantine. Well, now you're seeing the results of a reverse quarantine. You're not quarantining the sick, all right? You're quarantining the healthy, and it's just been made worse because, as you say, heck, Ken, there are still commercials on cable TV if you can find anything on cable TV it's worth watching. There's still commercials on cable TV. Well, here we are, all sitting at home and being safe. And I'm thinking, where in the hell are you? New York? I mean, do you live by the Cuomo's? I mean, because they're going outside. From all indications, what is it? Fredo Cuomo is going outside and being harassed by bicyclists. But the rest of them apparently are still stuck in their mom's basement or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, this entire thing has been ridiculous, and the Federalist is absolutely right to caution people never to go for this again. A reverse quarantine was a dumb idea to start with, and it's still a dumb idea. It's almost as if this was a planned idea to destroy the economy, and it came very close to working.
Now, Governor Newsom out in California has required that face masks are mandatory as a result of people coming out from under his stay-at-home order and associating with one another. And guess what's going up now? The number of coronavirus cases. So this flattening the curve seems to have been a plan to keep people isolated in fear and catastrophically destroyed economically. Am I in the right ballpark here?
Well, just look at the events that have gone on. Okay, you're talking about California. All right, there were riots out there too. So it's everybody stay home. All right, and maybe go out to the store, but wear a mask. But if you want to riot without a mask, you can do that. But now it's everybody stay at home, and if you want to go out to the store, wear a mask. I mean, if this is not complete government control over people, I don't know what is. And I have to say, Ken, that every time with the riots and everything,
Mm-hmm.
I know that there are leftists who listen to this show, all right, and the great thing about what I'm about to say is that they won't pay attention to it, even though it's real.
Yeah.
All right, every time news comes out about one of these companies that puts out one of these hostage statements about Black Lives Matter and everything, oh, we stand with Black Lives Matter and we hear you and blah, 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 blah. Every time one of those messages comes out, every time there's a riot, every time someone becomes assaulted, every time a building gets burned down, every time some celebrity, you hear the celebrities? Every time some celebrity comes out in support of Black Lives Matter, Okay, that's 1 or 2 or 10 or 20 or 100 more votes for Trump. So I would almost say they should just keep on doing this mess, okay, because they're creating more and more Trump voters the more they do this stuff.
And Dave, can I, before we switch to a different subject, I just want to talk with you about polls real quick, because people don't remember. Our memories are so short. Remember, they said that Al Gore was going to crush George W. Bush virtually in the polls, and they also said that Hillary Rodham Clinton was going to crush Donald John Trump for the presidency. And in both those particular cases, the only poll that mattered was the poll in November, because both of them won. And apparently, this time around, they feared that Joe Biden would be crushed. So now they're asking 1,300 people to speak on behalf of 300 million voters. Um, do you get where I'm going with this? Should the people on the right begin swearing up and down at this point that it's all over, that Joe Biden is going to be president, it's all over, and there's nothing we can do?
Oh Lord, it is an age before the election. Let's get that clear. I mean, it's only June. Anything and everything can happen until November. 2020 is such a wonderful year. It's just a year that keeps on giving. You have, of course, have heard about the volcano in China that they think might go off. Okay, I mean, it's just anything after. It's just one thing after another. I think this month, crab people are supposed to come up and invade us.
There you go.
Here's the thing about polls. Two things with polls. Number one, you have skewed polls that are not a true scientific survey of likely voters. Okay, likely voters is the key. These are people who are very likely going to get up off their butt on election day and go out and vote. All right, those are the ones that truly count. But you can still skew those. If, for instance, you call 300 people in a heavily Democratic district, well, guess what kind of results you're going to get? Okay, there's those. Then there are the ones that call out, and they might call out a fairly even percentage of people.
Yep.
Okay, and what you'll get then is something very similar to Jeff Bezos' message about supporting Black Lives Matter. What Jeff Bezos' message really was please do not jack any more of my Amazon trucks. That's really what that message was all about. It is pandering to the rage mob. So if someone calls someone who's a conservative or a libertarian or kind of in the middle, or just thinks that Joe Biden has dementia, which he does,
Mm-hmm.
they may very well, out of fear, just go in and say, oh yeah, I'm going to vote for Biden. Absolutely, yeah, going to vote for him. I can't vote for that racist Trump. No sir.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it is satisfying the rage mob, because again they know that when they get to those polls, the real polls, the election polls, that is when they can vote the way they want. And they'll tell the pollster whatever they want to tell them just to get them off their backs. All right? I might even do that on the street. I might, but I'm contrary enough to where I might go ahead and say I'm voting for Trump. Who knows? Okay? Yeah. But someone else might very well, because they're worried about the rage mob, tell a pollster that they're voting for Biden instead. So I think you have two factors there with all of these polls. And for people who haven't seen as many election cycles as people like you and I have had, I think the first election cycle I saw was the one where Richard Nixon won his first his first presidency. Okay, it is very, very early. Do not be discouraged. Okay, be not afraid. It is summer. It's not even high summer yet, and you really should pay attention only to polls
exactly
that come out election results.
And yeah, I agree with you because the Supreme Court hasn't finished its year yet. I mean, we're just 2 weeks away from them finishing their year.
I wish they finished their year about a month ago, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. Because apparently they don't understand what unconstitutional is when it comes to DACA. But I want to go somewhere philosophically with you because I don't want to run out of time here. And I got about 9 minutes to go with you before we have to separate. But when we take a look at everything that's Marxist, it is anti-Christian, it is anti-capitalist, it is anti-constitution, it is anti-conservative, certainly anti-conservative, and it is also anti-individual merit. And so I wanted to talk with you tonight about the Democrat-Marxists' ultimate goal. When we look at China, the atheists prevail. Although Putin calls himself a Christian, the atheists prevail in Russia. You have totalitarians in Iran, but they use Islam, which is not really a religion, it's a political way of life. So it's really an atheist mentality. It seems that the ultimate goal of the Democrat Marxists is to make the United States one nation without God. Would you concur with me on that? What are your thoughts?
Well, you have to if you want to achieve their goals, and their excuse me, and their goals are totalitarianism, because this nation was set up by men and backed up by women of faith. All right, and as long as the nation walks on its two legs, its secular leg and its spiritual leg, and that is Judeo-Christian philosophy, it is going to be fine. But you can't knock over the United States of America unless you knock out one of those legs. And we've seen this with pop culture, this full-on attack for the past 50 to 55 years. And now it's culminated in this Supreme Court ruling, basically taking away religious freedom. And you're going to see it even more. They want to remove God completely from this country because they know if they can replace God with government. They've already done that, very much so. They've already replaced the Father with government. Okay, and if they can do that, then they can have their China, they can have their Russia, they can have their Iran. All right, but they can't have that as long as people hold with the Judeo-Christian values that built this country. Those will be there in the future, but they're knocking them away right now. And I completely agree with your premise. They are trying to remove God from this nation.
Exactly. Mary Brockman in the chat room says Putin is Catholic, not Christian necessarily. And very true in that regard. The whole idea of removing God, and let me just be as radical as I can by throwing something up against the board here. In the court, in order to proclaim someone guilty, you must have people that swear or affirm that what they're going to speak in terms of evidence and expertise is truthful as unto God. In the court of public opinion, there is no other God but the court itself. Normally, it's the broadcaster, the Don Lemons of the world, the the cow over at MSNBC. There are those who project themselves as God, that they have already determined a person guilty and that their innocence is no longer worthy of question. And so we, being a nation that put God first in the pursuit of a more perfect union, understanding that we would never achieve it, believed that under the Fourth Amendment that no man could be considered guilty until he is proclaimed so in a court of law. So in my juxtaposition here, I'm saying that because so many Americans, all the way up to the Oval Office, subscribe to the idea that a man is guilty because of what they see in one video without the concurrence of evidence or even a submission of expertise, it's as if we are using a godless strategy to determine justice. What say you, sir, of a critique of that?
Well, this reminds me a very great deal of the reign of terror after the French Revolution.
Yeah.
All right, all someone had to be was accused of a crime, and if people in the neighborhood didn't necessarily like them or whatever, then they were fodder for the guillotine. All right?
Yeah.
And the problem with this is that it's an evil that keeps on being fed. Even people on the side of the revolution which, amazingly enough, has been televised.
Yes.
Okay, even people on the side of the revolution. I heard this thing. Apparently, it's a video I didn't get to see, but I heard this thing. These two soy boys up in this apartment. I forget which city it was in. It was in one of the cities where there were riots, and they're giving the thumbs up to the rioters and everything and all that stuff. And then suddenly their windows get smashed, and they yell outside, "Oh my God! We're on your side! We're on your side!" No. Okay, if you're on the left and you're listening to this, yeah, you may be on their side, but eventually they're coming for you. Okay, because this is what I said on EDL radio earlier. Kent.
Yeah.
All right, I almost called you Jeff. Sorry, brother.
Close enough.
Sometimes I wonder. All right, this is what I said earlier. Okay, the end of this is not prosperity or the ability to build prosperity for the proletariat. The end of this is the proletariat, where you're living in an apartment with one light bulb, if you're lucky, all right, and having to wait on being doled out essentials by the state, while a very few rulers above you are living in the lap of luxury, and you better not say anything about it, or else you're going to get a knock on the door. And what's on the other side of that door is not going to be very pleasant for you. It will be like 1984. You will wind up in room 101 with a cage full of rats on your face, all right, or whatever your greatest fear is. And this is something that is proven throughout history. So don't challenge me on this, because this is what always happens especially to the young people out there. Speak to some of the older people, because I noticed this too, Kit, and you may want to comment on this.
Mm-hmm.
It seems that there's a disparity when it comes to this racism versus police brutality question. There's a disparity between younger people and older people. All right? It seems that the older people are more willing to look at this and cogitate on it and come to better conclusions than younger people, because younger people are being ruled by watching one video. So, okay, saw one video, 10 seconds, it's obvious, they're guilty.
Yep.
Am I close on that as far as the generation gap?
I think you're very close on that, but what deters me, disturbs me most is that the older persons that are out there marching with the younger ones, virtually as the piper is bringing the mice to the riots, have only one intention, and that is to destroy the minds of those young people, destroy their futures, and to destroy their present. And unfortunately, there are too many other adults like it unto us who aren't reasonable enough to get out and say, you know what, that's wrong. That's not the right thing to do. rioting is not the right thing to do. The most immature person in America right now is Muriel Bowser. Muriel Bowser, who spent money painting Black Lives Matter on 16th Street to try to coin favor with the Marxists. And the Marxists told her, kiss my butt, defund the police. So instead of her being mature and saying, don't riot, she was immature and attempted to join the protest. This is the scary thing, because the elders are so naive of what they're bringing, or malicious more so than naive in many cases, about what they're bringing to power, is that they refuse to have modern day regret. They rather see what happens. And I just want to tell America, tonight, the Attorney General for the District of Columbia, Racine, is suing DC Public Housing. And why is he suing DC Public Housing? Because it's not enough police support to stop drug deals, murder, incest, rape, and other pillaging in those public housing. So I ask you, if the public governors of the states and cities are suing their public housing facilities because they are not being catered to by police, and these are not the regular police, these are special police, then imagine what you will be doing soon, because the Marxists have taken control of your police department, your police precinct, and have taken the God out of the criminal justice system. It is a dangerous, dark, dystopic, situation for America. Give you the final word here, sir.
Well, I agree, Ken. It is dystopic. It is a dystopic vision of the future, and I think what you're going to see is an exodus from some of the more leftist-controlled centers of the United States towards some of those that are controlled by people more on the right. Obviously, definitely let me know if you decide you want to move to Texas, because I have family down there and we can get you set up. Okay.
Thank you.
It is time for good people to begin making choices, and that includes good people all over, including in these cities full of Democrats. It's okay to say to yourself, even if you don't say it to anybody else, just you and God knows it, I made a mistake in who I voted for. I don't like what's happening now in my streets. It's okay to say that. It's okay to tell your friends that, and to change your mind. Okay, you can do it. Ken, I want to thank you for having me on.
Thank you, brother.
I appreciate you, my friend. You keep on doing what you do, and hopefully we'll see you on Sunday, just to give Jeff a call and wish him a happy 69th birthday. But I love you, brother.
I will love you too, and I will try to do my best to call him. Ladies and gentlemen, none other than Dave Milner. I just want to share this with you all. Give Dave a chance to get off, and he can see it for himself as we put this in the record. There is a top secret document that I came across as a result of Quaker Oats making a transition from the whole concept of Aunt Jemima. I don't want to convey to you who gave me this top secret information, because I don't want to get them in any trouble. But I just want to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, that Aunt Jemima with Quaker Oats will be changed, and they will be doing a new bottle design for Aunt Jemima. And let me just show you what it is. There you go. Billy Porter will now become the bottle for Aunt Jemima. He will be the new Aunt Jemima in modern day Gone with the Wind edition. Okay, so please look forward to this Billy Porter bottle so that you can pour out your rainbow upon your pancakes in the morning. Thank you, Quaker Oats. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for tuning in. to our program. We thank you so much, Mary Brockman, for being our bouncer in chief. Smooches gracias to you as well. Thank you, Mrs. Biggs, for all of your financial support. Thank you for making it possible. Thank you, Miss Intern, Smooches gracias, for giving me your insights during the show. Thank you, Bonnie Williams, Smooches gracias, for being my executive producer and giving me all the news. And Dave Milner, my boy, thank you so much. And as well, Jeff Dunness. We got to go away, but we'll be back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and hopefully we'll have our movie. We'll have our movies out for Friday and for Sunday. We'll find out how we get that done. But if you don't remember anything else I said tonight as we cut to screen 2, I hope you do remember this. God bless America. It's time for America to bless God. Good night. God bless you all. Get ready, Mary. The music's coming.